much we are flying through this one, Derry. We're going to get to see exactly who is going to come out. It looks like SuperMassive players are going to be starting things out over on the blue side and Sangal on the red.
So realistically, we've seen a lot more games for Sangal so far throughout the last 2 months. SuperMassive Blaze have only made it through one of their games, so it's been a rough ride. They didn't qualify back in June. Back in July, you saw things like the Gragas, the Wukong, the Ari, and the Zyra bot lane in both of the games they played. I'm kind of expecting they'll settle on that for comfort, but Sangal, they've got a much more flexible pool, but I think Renekton is going to be one of their big focuses, and I think that's a really good respect ban coming out of Sangal. The Yasuo coming out, that was played by their mid laner in one of their previous 2 games that they played in the July qualifier.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Both Turkish teams have huge following. Obviously, the Turkish esports scene always has done throughout League of Legends, and it's great to see that it's following into Wild Rift right here on the mobile side. So, pretty standard at the moment. Okay, so the Gragas coming through there as well. And, oh no, the Pantheon. It actually has been a big favorite from Group B. The Pantheon's constantly been picked, so we'll see whether that jungles or not, or whether it's the top lane.
Yeah, definitely going to find it in the jungle, I think, here. It's so oppressive in the jungle when you can just ult seemingly anywhere on the map. You'll have the Fiora playing off. In fact, no, maybe it's going to be a mid lane in that case then. Sorry,
with the Camille,
no.
yeah, I wasn't sure.
Camille in the jungle, Fiora top lane. That is interesting in itself. On the other side, that Varus and center bot lane. Oh my god, it's horrific when once Varus gets his ult online, so watch out for that. Giga Tank in the Mundo, and the Vayne Lulu. Vayne we don't see a whole lot of these days. A little bit squishy, a little bit, takes a bit of time to get into the game. 3-4 items online before she really switches on. They'll be playing for the kind of scaling of that, but look at this comp when it gets online, D-Man. You're looking towards the Fiora with items. You're looking towards a Camille with 2 or 3 items. If they hit 3-4 items in this game, I think you're going to find the other side of Sangal really struggle to fight back, to be honest.
I'm seeing a combo effectively with the Hextech Ultimatum, the Man Drop coming down on top. Even the Fiora could get in there with a Grand Challenge. You could literally get locked down into 1 point. There's no way out of it. So very interested to see how it works out for them. But let's get the game on your screens.
There it is. Right. Really excited to see how this bot lane plays out with the Vayne Lulu as mentioned. I think it's going to take a bit of time to get on. They will get bullied quite a bit early on, I think, by the Varus and the Senna. But as you mentioned, think about how horrific those team fights can be for someone like the Varus. They haven't got tons of frontline CC outside of his ultimate, outside of a bit of Senna lockdown, and maybe the Gragas. They're going to rely so much on Nysa in that top lane to do the work to keep them safe, I think. Otherwise, you're going to find that bot lane duo just getting pumped out of a fight because of how much damage exists on the other side of SuperMassive Blaze.
So early invade coming through here. Bambi and Guys going looking for it. No PC on the red buff. Going to get caught out. They're going aggressive and they're going to force him away from the red buff. There was no counter jungle coming out from Sangal. So that is a straight up steal. Now we can see the invade though coming in down on the south side towards the red buff.
This is really interesting. I can't think of how many times I've really seen a support go hyper-aggressive like this in the early game and supporting on a roam invade, especially when it's a Vayne all by herself in the bot lane. Going to get poked out by seemingly everything down there, looking towards the Senna, the Varus. It's not really pretty. And we did touch on the jungle Camille potentially coming out. No, it's a Camille in the mid lane and a Pantheon in the jungle. Ah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I keep seeing Cool Effects. Cool Effects is really trying to help out right now. It's like, okay, I can tell my jungler needs help. Actually, Mundo's been pretty clever here. Realizing the Pantheon's gone down south, looking to go for the double blue instead of the double red in there. So he's going for the blue buff invade. We'll keep an eye on that one because you can see the Orianna's also moving up. That's all happening in the river right now because the Camille's coming up. There's the top lane. They're engaging one another, trying to get that Scuttle Crab away, but needing the help. And I think that invade is not going to work. He's past a ward, and that is going to be SuperMassive coming out really well in the jungle early game.
Yeah, just trading on those crabs early on as well. I think it was good for the side of Sangal to at least stock up there and go for 3-man onto the crab, stop the contest coming in from mid lane and from top, so good stuff. But that just opens up Bambi to focus on the bot side entirely, which is exactly what he'll do here. Get his full clear down on the bottom side of the map. Not a bad start, and of course, we're always looking for when that ult comes online for the Pantheon. Because not at all to say that Mundo's ult is bad, but it's not exactly a man drop, as you say. The Grand Skyfall can land you in a lane seemingly anywhere. And my eyes turn immediately towards that bot lane. And here we go, potentially engage in the mid.
Yeah, you can lock him up and do a lot of damage down to pull the ball, go defensive with that command, and just about keeping him in control. But I tell you what, Sangal, they are under pressure early on. Bear in mind, Sangal have at least double the points of SuperMassive. So this is a very good start for SuperMassive.
Yeah, I think Sangal, maybe not expecting to get out of the group, but at least to get themselves high up on the charts is definitely the goal today. And again, against SuperMassive, a team that didn't qualify in June. When they qualified in July, they got through the first round and then got knocked out with double back-to-back losses, admittedly, coming up against some difficult teams. So, you know, this is one of the ones you look at and think realistically for Sangal, it should be a 2-0 in this series. But not a bad start so far for SuperMassive Blaze. I'm really enjoying the aggression coming out of Bambi, keeping himself busy, making ganks happen everywhere. Just removing the potential aggression from Sangal, I think, by making them feel a little bit uncomfortable.
So we'll see how this does continue. We haven't really had a great deal of look at obviously the top and the bottom lanes. Obviously what's been going on with all the Baron and the Dragon lanes, as we prefer to call them these days. It is, of course, Gragas versus Furor in the top there. Gragas, we know what comes in the package between these two, which is probably why we've not really had to look at them much.
Nah, it'd be a bit of a wet noodle fight for a while until the Furor gets the first item online. Note, though, in the bot lane, both recooled down, got items online because they know that in about 20 seconds or so, this Drake is coming online, as is the Herald, has a 2.4, of course. Those spawning at exactly the same time. So you can make a choice to trade one if you don't care too much about the first Drake. First one's an Ocean. Not the best one in the world. Maybe you do admit here and say, you know what, I don't want to fight over that. We'll just go and focus on the Herald instead. You can see immediately that Sangal are the first ones around this. And this is what you'll see from those stronger teams, Lee. A bit of earlier team grouping, better positioning for these team fights. Wards are down everywhere as well. SuperMassive Blaze are the ones who've got to try and fight their way into this territory, reclaim vision, and then start squaring up for it. But potentially not. Sangal already backing off.
Yeah, I think they read the situation, realized obviously they got the crab, and that was about all. So they have the vision in and around Draken, but realized, hang on a minute, we're being closed in upon. We're not really in a great state to fight here. If you noticed, SuperMassive Blaze actually all backed, or mostly had backed. So they've actually all spent. So I'll be interested to see where they were maybe ahead in the items. And it was a good read from Sangal to say, okay, let's not just fight just yet.
Absolutely not. No, it's being cautious, right? You don't want to get yourself dunked on by like a Pantheon in the early game, ulted by the Camille, ulted with the Lulu on top of them as well to make sure you're CC'd for even longer. That's what you're constantly being wary of. And given how slow it's been to begin with, neither side really committing to taking an objective so far, I'm wondering when that first catch comes through. It's been 5 minutes and no kills.
Yeah, this looks like it may well be it. You can see there's the challenge coming straight through. So they're going to lock up Kenko. Not really the one they were looking for, in fairness. Go for that center. So didn't really manage to land it. Got to keep your eye on that ball as well around the mid lane at the moment. It's just a very much a trade back and forward. But I got to be honest, Sangal have come out on top with a lot of hit points, whereas SuperMassive Blaze have just been shredded down. And now finally the top laner arrives. This is Bambi just simply committing to try go for the smite fight. Doesn't work out.
Really tried his best there, no, but it is secured away by Sangal. I think a little bit early on that smite, but I appreciate it. I understand the idea and what it was they were going for. And with the jungler down, bearing in mind, relatively low respawn timers, ults are mostly down for both sides. A couple on the side of SuperMassive Blaze. They're going to turn straight towards the Herald here, but the Pantheon's back on. The Camille and the Orianna, not anywhere near this fight. You might see the Pantheon ult in here.
Well, Lonely Kid living up to his name right now, all alone, waiting for the rest of his team to arrive. Finally, will manage to get the grand challenge down onto Nisa there. Should be able to lock out the kill, but the Red Herald will go over to the red team. And that's all they wanted, the Rift Herald going picked up. But they are going to lose, what, 2-3 for the chance. And they've kind of overcommitted a little bit there.
Yeah, and you give the Vayne 2 kills as well. What a way to accelerate her mid-game at level 8 at this point. So halfway on that journey to absolute night terrors for the other team. But that was, oh, the flash forward and the stun to the wall.
Okay. I mean, he's managed to get the flash stun. It worked out. They've got to trade the damage, though, at the moment. The Vayne does, in the end, get away, but the Mundo goes down. It was a 1-for-1 trade. But did Tulkas pick up the kill again?
I'm not sure as well. We'll see when the scoreboard comes back up. But I want to touch again on that fight around the Herald. Wow. The ult in, the separation. Poor Nisa, by the way. Missing every ability possible. The charge misses. The ult misses. Poor Varus, as we mentioned on, by the way. Stunned up by the Vayne. Stunned up by the Pantheon. Watch him here. It just has nothing to do with the Varus. Steps back to this wall. Ult into the wall. Sorry, Eat into the wall by the Vayne. Stunned by the Pantheon. Ult comes through in a second, I think, onto the Vayne to make sure he stays alive. Nisa misses the ult. Everything falls apart. And the thing is, with no Orianna there, with the Varus completely CC'd up and a pretty, I suppose at this point, low gold center, there is just no damage coming out of those tanks on the side of Sangal. Really well played by SuperMassive.
I mean, that is the difference effectively when you trade for the Mundo, because obviously you don't have great crowd control. Sure, you have a slow in there, but other than the explosive cask and obviously the ball, the shockwave, you know, there's not a lot to protect him. Obviously, the center can only do so much to try and keep him away. So, as you say, you know, when you get pinned by the other Vayne against the wall, you're pretty screwed.
Yeah, it was honestly just a really, really well-placed play, I think. It was a bit risky at first with the Fiora going in, but did bait out a number of cooldowns, and we mentioned the lack of ultimates for Sangal. It's a very, very smart fight coming out of Supermassive. Now we'll see what the focus is. You've got the Pantheon moving on towards the bottom side, I think. More running away from those in the mid lane. A big engage coming in, and again, it's the Varus being caught out.
Ah, and he got pinned beautifully once again there. They turn it back around. It's going to be 2. Can they make it 3, or will they just simply get the tower here? This is going to be Supermassive, really turning things on. You know, Sangal were happy just to retreat back to simple lane plays and got completely caught napping.
And they get the first tower as well. Again, mega play for Supermassive. Unfortunately for the Varus, no flash online. Understandable, you can't really get away, but you should be respecting that. Orianna, Varus, 2 of the worst champions that you can have without flash up, for example, for getting yourself isolated, especially when there's something like a Camille on side, the Pantheon on side. It is such a kill lane in the mid lane, yet right now, they are feasting on cool effects on that Varus.
Yeah, and unfortunately, they're feeding the Vayne, and you can see 304, 7,000 gold compared to 5,900 on that's just not good. And there you go, just items pinging into place, looking great right now, and that's going to cause a real problem in the next team fight.
It's just so
which is happening right now, actually, on the picture-in-picture. I can see they're getting involved immediately as we look at the replay. Sangal actually going for the middle turret, so they're engaging as well as we pull out the replay. Let's have a look at what's going on here. The Mundo will get caught out. The tower did go down. In the end, it was a trade. Supermassive picking up the kill with the Rift Herald being pressured on them by Sangal.
I'm not so sold on that call, to be honest with you, D-Member, because the Drakes just came up and, look, it's a Cloud Drake. Most teams don't really care about it at this point, but I think at this point you're going to take it for free, knowing there is no way the Mundo can possibly get out of base and contest you in time. It'll be a freebie coming up to Supermassive Blaze. No huge complaints there. With nothing else, the team setting up as they are with more ultimates, more catches, another dive in.
And then they're going to dive straight through the bushes. There's absolutely no vision there. The tower goes down instantly, and Supermassive Blaze just turn on the power. Straight in, straight around. That's a bit of a deep dive in the end there, realizing they're going to try and have to get away from that one. That's a double kill coming out for the Orianna there, so nicely worked out to counter it in the end, but it was a 2-for-2 trade with another tower falling.
I mean, okay, better. There was some bounce back there. The Orianna was present for that fight. This is always going to be the fear, though, right? Supermassive Blaze going to engage onto someone so quickly and burst them out before the rest of the team can respond. If you get into a spot where you've got the center there, for example, she's bringing out the ultimate. Someone's got barrier on side, of which both the mid laner and the AD carry do, plus the top laner, of course. If you can survive through that initial burst, you'll be just fine. But here, they managed to do survive for a second. It's a focus onto the center, and the problem is that they're focusing so heavily onto the support to start. They do get the Varus, but they overcommit for it. And then it's all down to Lemium, all by himself on the Orianna, happily picking up a double kill off the back of it. I think not so much a massive misfocus, but maybe the focus next time should be onto the Varus and then the Orianna.
Oh, and speaking of, they're going straight back into it. No messing around here. This is going to be a top kill, and this should be picked up by Supermassive here. They're certainly looking stronger at the moment. The Mundo finally arrives, but it's already 2 down, and now he's going to get turned on. What can he do? Absolutely nothing. It's just simply back away to the tower, and it is another 2-for-0 for Supermassive Blaze.
Yeah, not too bad as well. Focusing down the tank, and you saw towards the back end of the fight how low a couple of those members won't. I thought for a second we might see Sangal get 1 or 2 back, but don't forget, at the same time, you've had the Fiora off doing what she does best, split pushing in the bot lane.
Yeah, everything going at the moment to Supermassive Blaze. Despite that early start, that early pressure, the Dragon being picked up, things were looking good for Sangal. You know, in terms of lane phase, yes, they lost the early jungle pressure, which I'm sure they're going to try and relieve the second time out. But at the moment, let's have a look once again. So it was all about that tower pressure once again, and quickly relieved. So I'm going to be honest with 2-for-2, 2 for a tower. I'll take it.
I will give, though, Cool Effects missed both his ultimate and a pretty critical Q in that fight as well. If he managed to land that, maybe he discourages the engage that you see coming in. Maybe the backline of Camille goes down after she's ran away from the fight on, like, basically no HP left. The shield at the end from the Lulu being one of the saving graces, I feel, in that fight. Just, again, a couple of big ults or key abilities being missed by the side of Sangal here. I want to see that come online, because when this comp works, their disengage is ludicrous. Gragas ultimate, the Orianna ultimate, the W coming out of Kesko, sorry, on the Senna, also the Varus ultimate. They've got so much to work for them, but it just feels like they're constantly being caught out and not giving themselves room to breathe.
Yeah, and the gold, of course, is sort of leading that way with the 6,000 advantage here. Lonely Kid's happy to duel at the moment when he's going to try and build up towards that grand challenge if he really wants to go for it. Don't think it's going to be worth it. And I think he's realized it the same because they are putting the pressure on towards the top tower now. Here comes the support Orion. Tulka trying to get the bolts onto No PC, saying, no, you're not going to land that cleaver on me. And they will back away. They're a bit low on the hit points. Sangal responding, but it doesn't matter. SuperMassive have already retreated.
Yeah, nothing really massive to worry about there. Once Mundo burns that ult, you're not going to want to stick around, but already Tulkas is starting to pose a threat. That Vayne that we spoke about, getting towards that kind of 3-4 item mark. And a quick look at the stacks, by the way, 63 on the center right now, already getting pretty rapidly towards that point of being terrifying. Also worth noting, of course, that fasting center in the supportive role here, you do get more of those souls for not killing minions. That's why you see it getting up so high, and with the cleaver online, shredding through the other side. The problem really is that the only real person that's benefiting is going to be the Varus sitting there as her marksman. And we've seen exactly how well he's fared in fights so far, has always been the primary target. So kind of left with something up a creek is the way I'll word it, D-Man.
Pretty much. No paddles included. Mountain Drake coming online. So this is going to be the big team fight, I feel. And obviously SuperMassive, yes, they have the gold advantage, but Sangal trying to get the position and the vision early on, and they've already started it. SuperMassive are way out of position here. They're going to have to try and dive for it. Now they go with the aggression. I was going to try and pass you, but it doesn't matter because it's happening so quickly. They've got the pin onto Nisa. Nisa can do nothing about that one. Caught out, the top laner absolutely devastated, and SuperMassive just showing the power that gold has given them.
I feel like I'm almost repeating myself from 5 minutes ago. Look at the order of flow. I mean, one, you found the Varus going down there with barrier still up. Flash, I think, had come on off cooldown whilst he was already dead, so that wasn't available. But what do? They focus onto cool FX and nuke him out. As soon as the Pantheon nukes in, that's pretty much the end of that one. What comes up next? They just burn their way through the rest of the team. Nisa, again, missing another big... Oh, you are the main disengage for your team. And twice in a crucial fight, they've missed their ultimate. It's removed the point of even having a Gragas on side. It's just completely falling apart for Sangal. What an upset this game is turning out to be.
Absolutely. SuperMassive Blaze turning up here in game number 1. Now with the Baron online, they've got the 10k gold advantage. Now it's time to turn the game in their favor and finish it off. Let's have a look at the replay because I didn't get a chance to set you up here. So you get a chance to look.
It's totally fine. Just watch Cool Effects again here. Getting caught out, you can see him grounded up by the Camille, stunned on by the Pantheon. Oh, look, he's dead in basically 2 abilities. Unlucky, I guess. Great counterplay. Ult misses from the Gragas. The healing comes off the back of the Fiora that we've seen in a couple of fights as well. Just everything combos up so well. And now that the Vayne is online, that Mundo is like a piece of paper in the front line. It doesn't matter. They're just running past him, burning through the carries, because again, that ult and the CC being provided by the Gragas simply does not exist.
Absolutely. Very, very quick set. I was expecting like okay, they've started the dragon, they're going to step away a little bit. No, they just went in. They just went straight in there. Wow, no PC can't mess with Nacrus anymore. That is a big problem. Yes, the Baron is on there, of course, but you can see the damage he put down there. The Varus finally will get around and try and help out, but at the moment, this is looking disastrous for Sangal.
I mean, that's the ult coming out of the Varus. One of those big tools that we were talking about in fights that they could really use having on side right now is offline. And a flash away from the Varus, the spear came through. Still gets tagged by it either way. Back to base they'll go on low HP. And this is where it should all fall apart for them, D-Man.
Yeah, that's just going to have to back away from this one. I don't think they could do anything about it. Nisa gets away with 0 health. Doesn't matter. That's going to be the Nexus gone. And the first game, surprising maybe, goes to SuperMassive Blaze. What an upset to start things off here. And honestly, they deserved it. It started from the very beginning with that jungle invade.
I mean, everything, right? We spoke about the aggression coming out of Bambi. No PC, Nisa, non-factor in this game. The other 3 members would just target practice for the members of SuperMassive Blaze. Really good early aggression. Didn't let Sangal get into their groove. Really well played. And map 2 is going to be so spicy.
Well, obviously, we had a chance to look at a lot of things that happened throughout that game. Derek, any particular points you want to look at?
There is actually one, yeah. I do want to take us over to the drawing board for this as well. Wonderful transition, of course, because there was a clip, and the one I want to show, of course, is the team fight that broke out around the Herald. This was the big one for me. I want to play it for you in slow-mo to begin with, because note first and foremost that Lonely Kid is in here entirely by himself. But look as everyone groups up to try and focus him down here. All 4 members sat right in the middle of this ultimate that's about to come dropping down on top of their heads. It's not going to be pretty, D-Man. And now watch as Tulkas comes up here to focus on to the Varus. Completely isolated. No one's protecting him in this spot. Easy enough. Pinned into the wall. Pantheon straight on top. And bearing in mind at this point, the gold is slightly in favor of the side of Sangal. You'd probably say they should be the ones coming out on top, or at least relatively even in these fights. But Lonely Kid is basically on full HP. Progresses forward from there. The ult comes in a second to go onto Tulkas. He's knocked up. You saw the ultimate that came in for the Gragas. Sorry, over to this side. Nothing happened. His charge earlier on came down here through a gap. So missed the E, missed the ultimate off to the right. It could not have gone more wrong for the side of Sangal in this fight. And from there, it's a beautiful cleanup. Again, everyone playing inside of that Fiora ultimate. Super well played by SuperMassive. Super well not played by the side of Sangal. They need to improve in map 2.
Absolutely fantastic stuff. Well, I mean, that was simply a case of a poor AD carry. It was just focus, focus, focus. I hate playing AD carry, that's why. Let's get straight over to game 2, though, because it looked like it's about ready to go. All right, there's the teams once again. As we've just seen there, we'll see whether they can turn things around here, because SuperMassive plays now on the red side, looking fantastic in that first game. And don't forget about Sangal. Sangal, they're the team that took Unicorns of Love to game 3 last month. Seems to be a very different team that has turned up this time around there, Derek.
Just a little bit so far. I mean, look, everyone can get, I'm not going to say cheesed, but you can be upset quite early in the mid game and it snowballs away from there. You saw the Camille, you saw the Pantheon, you saw the damage it was doing. I would be shocked if there is not a ban coming out against one of those champions in this game. Sure, you respect ban the Yasuo last time round. You know that you can shut that down with some good mid lane aggression. So let's get rid of the Camille, get rid of the Pantheon, things that can catch out your carry so easily. And let's make this a clean one, Sangal. Otherwise, this could be a huge upset, and one that personally, we in the Britain, we live for underdog stories. I'll take it.
Absolutely. Let's get the pick and bans on the way for game number 2. Will we see any adjustments? Any focus bans coming out from there? Of course, the Vayne certainly doing very well, but I wouldn't say it is certainly something they should focus. Sangal, of course, starting out on the blue side this time. And once again, the Akali banned out.
Makes sense as well. Akali just super strong for every single team. You're probably going to see it taken away a lot. Similar story for the Ziggs. Some teams, I think, are prioritizing it more than others right now. You see it picked up a little bit throughout Group B. We've seen Unicorns Luck play it, for example. Vivax have played it a number of times, and even once or twice these teams along the way. There is that respect ban that I spoke about, by the way, the Camille coming through in place of the Yasuo. Want to know if it's a Pantheon as the next one, or do they ignore it? Nope, so still respect banning out the Yasuo. It's clearly thinking, okay, that guy's a little bit too deadly on it. Let's not give it to him.
Yeah, so I mean, the bonus, I think, for SuperMassive, I think the thing that threw them is because they picked that Camilla, like, oh, they picked the jungler early. And then obviously they come out with the Pantheon. And then there's the Fiora, and they're like, oh, where the heck is anything being played? We don't know what's going on here. So it is going to be the Corki first picked for Sangal, and that means the Gragas will be stolen away for SuperMassive.
Interesting. I wonder if Lonely Kid... Oh, okay, maybe not. Could be going into the jungle here. Could even find it going into support or in the mid lane. Flex picks on both sides outside of the Fiora right now. You could argue the same about the Pantheon. So Sangal currently showing very little. Their third pick could be what gives it away unless they pick up a support, which they have done with the Braum. Very strong pick. And now that Corki and Pantheon could go into a number of different positions. So right now, SuperMassive Blaze are going to have to pick assuming things without really knowing for concrete where those two are going. Good draft by Sangal.
Yeah, taking advantage of being on that blue side. The Xin Sao is very, very strong in the jungle. Certainly could be going in there, and you almost expect it. And the Garen making a return. It's been a bit of hot minutes since we last saw Garen's involved. Obviously, was very strong at the start of Origin Series back in June, but had a few changes since then. And now the Twisted Fate also coming in there, and the Lulu once again.
All right, so Gragas in the mid lane then. That's spicy. Unless there's something wild like a Xin Zhao going mid lane, which would not surprise me the way things are going so far. As in that last game, Camille mid lane, bit of a new one. Worked out really, really well for them. I like the draft from both sides. I'm a little bit worried about that top lane. Lonely Kid could have a bit of a bully fest against this Garen once an item or two come online. They've got the globals, and this time it's not just one. It's not only the Pantheon. You've also got the Twisted Fate. This could get really messy. Again, that early game aggression, I think, could be amazing for the side of SuperMassive Blaze.
Absolutely. Let's get the game underway, ladies and gentlemen. Game 2 about ready to start. Sangal find themselves 1-0 down to SuperMassive Blaze. Sangal, so far, have certainly been the better team, 5th in overall points, of course, whereas SuperMassive Blaze down in 14th really haven't got much further than the first round in the monthly finals. So this could be a huge, huge step up for them here in August.
Oh, I got that a bit wrong, my bad. Actually, it's Sangal playing on this comp rather than, sorry, SuperMassive Blaze. Got a bit too excited seeing the Pantheon come out once again, but as it shapes up here, let's see how this mid lane goes. It's the Fiora starting in the mid lane as well. So, okay, like I say, maybe you see a wild change or two. Drag us up on the top side, Fiora in the mid. What is it with things like Fiora and Camille? Things we're so used to seeing on the top side, currently finding themselves heading into the mid lane.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt about it. Obviously, if you use the sort of League of Legends and maybe you follow the LEC or the LCS, etc., then if you play Wild Rift, you'll find things are very different in terms of style, in terms of play, in terms of where you may find champions even playing as well. So it's very different. Obviously, has its own balance, etc., in there as well. And the fact is, some champions just play different, and some are better, some are worse. You know, it's obviously down to player preference. Xin Zhao, I would say, is certainly one of those very strong junglers right now, though.
I'll tell you what, Bambi has definitely been watching some of Doom playing over in Group A because he has been running away with so many games on the Xin Zhao. They catch on the Garen here.
Sneaky, yeah.
Do they just ignore him? I think at that point they're aware he can't just dive right onto them. They really want to contest this blue, but there's no way this happens here. Nice and comfortably picked up for the side of Sangal.
I mean, that's simply a case of, yeah, you caught us out in game 1. It's not going to happen in game 2. And Bambi this time is going to try and go down. Is he going to try and follow down for an invader, or is he just going to simply go for his own blue in the Scuttle Crab? I think that's what's going to be.
Yeah, crab into blue makes sense here as well. Like, why not take it away?
Having a little peek, trying to try and get him towards the Fiora there. Already used the pounce though, so won't be able to stun once again. We'll be able to get the reset in the second. Should be able to finish it off, and it will be. And that is a simple jungle pickup. No PC doing some good work, and we'll take the Wolves.
That's the early advantage they want this time round. Yeah, bit of a mistake by Nacris there, getting a little bit aggressive, being caught out. And as soon as that blue smite came out from Sangal, you just knew it was going to fall apart from there. And again, maybe they even caught one more out. Lonely Kid having to flash away. Should be safe in this spot, and no one's around to help collapse on this one. But even so, you've got the Twisted Fate coming up for a bit of support. Good team play coming out of Sangal so far.
Yeah, this is the start that they were looking for. But they were in a similar situation before. So a quick replay of that. We already saw it happen in real time. Not a lot you could do, yeah. Blue smite, and then I think he gets the reset on the pounce. Yeah, there's the stun once again. Yeah, nothing you can do about that. Spear finishing things off, and probably looking is like, where's the Lonely Kid? Where's the Lonely Kid? Where's the support? Well, he'd already gone back to base, so he wasn't available to help out.
Yeah, it's the hard thing as well. You got a shoving lane in the Twisted Fate in mid lane. Garen's just Garen, obnoxious as all hell for the longest time. Always going to be in that way, I think. So you need to be able to match them in those lanes. So you are going to struggle, I think, a little bit for support. Whereas the Twisted Fate especially, looking to always be making moves. You've now got the ultimates online, let's not forget. So I'm waiting to see where the Pantheon and the Twisted Fate head to next. And even more exciting, I'm thinking about the next game already. Do we see the Pantheon banned out? Because whoever's going to be on blue side has priority of picking that if they want. We're already seeing how much of a terror it can be in the early game.
So you're already predicting Sangal taking this one. That's a pretty bold prediction 3.5 minutes into the game. But here's the future look right there immediately. But here we go. Okay, so Drake's up 27 seconds. Let's have a look at the lay of the land. At the moment, it is just a simple kill. Not a great deal to tell between the two teams. It is pretty even with just that 200 gold difference. So in terms of what's going to happen, it's going to be a case of who goes back, who goes by. Is there going to be any early aggression before that dragon spawns? Doesn't look like it.
I mean, Sangal, they've got to go back here because CoolFX has got no mana. He can't be here for the start of this Drake, so no doubt they want to slow things down a little bit, buy up a couple of items. You've got the Rod of Ages coming out for the Twisted Fate. Everyone is spending right now, but immediately for SuperMassive Blaze, they're saying, you know what? Forget about Dragon. We want the Herald, but are very smartly, I think, looking to back away because they know what the Pantheon can do.
Cheeky Destiny comes out from the Twisted Fate, and that just forces them to back away from that and then respect it. You know what? half hit points. I think they're going to try and turn on that one. They've allowed it to completely reset, but they do have all 5 team members around here. The Xin Sao still only just coming out of base, so a long way away. We'll be able to get here just in time to maybe go for the smite fight, but it's going to be a 5-man setup for Sangal. I don't think Bambi wants to risk it with that Mountain Drake up still down the bottom.
No. You flash for that and try and go for the Herald, you lose Drake straight after. Even if you manage to kill it, you still die. So you're going 1-for-1 at worst. At least here, keeping everyone alive, you can try and make something happen. They're saying forget about the Drake, actually. I don't know about this, guys. I think they wanted to try and catch on to Nicer here, maybe force down top tower. But look how much they're giving away. They're not even willing to fight it right now.
They are way out of this game right now. They don't seem to be on the same page as Sangal. So, I mean, that was a simple read. It's like, okay, well, the Drake is up. The Rift Herald's there. It's the Mounted Drake as well, so you really want to contest that one. But just simply giving across to Sangal, and that gives them 1,000 gold advantage now, and they're looking strong early game.
I think they're just too scared to fight them, right? Because, again, think about the stun stacking you've got with the Twisted Fate gold card into the stun coming out of the Pantheon. The Braum gets in the mix. You will pop someone if they're going hard like that. Really, you want Tulkas to get himself to his 100 AD to get the bonus. You want to find the Fiora getting a first item online. Gragas being a little bit tankier than he is right now. And a similar story for Xin, who, whilst he has very good kind of early 3-4 levels like dueling one-on-one against junglers, in team fights, he will just get popped. So understandably, wanting to slow things down a bit, get the items on side. They saw, for example, the buy coming out of the Rod of Ages on the mid laner. They just thought, you know what, we aren't really ready to fight this right now. Let's let both go and worry about the next Drake. So good enough to not lose the advantage that they did find themselves with ever so slightly. But now it's Sangal pulling ahead about 1k in the lead.
I would say a much more normal game for once. Finally a slowdown. I mean, look, we've only had 1 kill in 6 minutes. This is pretty much just a normal game we would expect. Obviously, we've seen some of these games that have been absolutely wild with kills left and right and just non-stop. The lane phase almost disappears. But it does seem that everybody's respecting that lane phase. And I think that's down to, as you say, Supermassive. They want to just extend that lane phase effectively to get that farm going.
We got to about 520 in the last game before we found the first kill coming in as well. So both teams, I think, are being quite respectful of the other. Probably because so many are so scared about the snowball away from that first Drake and the Herald that you want to be careful with it. Looking to maybe collapse onto the Fiora here, who is alone. 4 members stacking up, but equally, Supermassive Blaze have got 3 coming in for assistance. They're never too far away, always ready to jump in and help out if they need to. And I think at this point, Sangal read into that too and just say, look, we stay here. They are going to stack up on us, and it is going to be a fight we do not want to take.
Yeah, it's a pretty scary team comp. There's no doubt about it. So they're being respectful. They are starting to surround this one now. They're going to try and go for it. There's the Xin Sao to try and separate the team. Wanted to get Nasir out, but instead, oh yeah, caught in the bushes. Don't want that. Tank Gragas, not quite yet, but they might be able to turn the kills back around. They get themselves 1. Can they make it 2? No. Kenko will be able to get away from that one. Doesn't work out. And in the end, it is simply a 1-for-2 trade. But the tower did go down, but they're not done yet. In they go once again. The Xin Sao trying to work it out. The stand behind me coming out and working wonders. That big shield from Kesko doing what it needed to. Limo will be able to survive.
Another really close fight, but 2-for-1 ultimately in favor of Supermassive Blaze. The Herald did get the second charge off on that inner tower as well, just as they went back in for that second engagement. Really close again, but even with the safer pick of the Corki on side for Cool FX, he's still one of the first going down in these fights. Look how far back he is here. Gets ulted back in by the Gragas. They flashes away and immediately burnt out by the rest of the team. Really good prioritization for Supermassive Blaze yet again onto those high damage, high value targets, and then trying to back away from there. They only lost their tank in response as well. Really good stuff. And the focus maybe from the side of Sangal. Don't really have a massive choice, admittedly, when you're being tossed about like a pinball by the Gragas. Not really the best.
Uh-oh, this is not going to be a good sign. 4 versus 1 doesn't sort of work out too well, but he does manage to get himself in. The Lulu comes up. That saves the day as well. Will be able to get away. Is the Doc going to finish him off? Looks like he had an Ignite on him there, ticking away. They will be able to take the tower from this one. That's a problem. As Turkas will be able to back away from this one. Oh, they're not done. They have to evacuate. You can't just sit back in the bush. And they will, in the end, get away. A tower for 0.
Yeah, they were so invested in that tower. That we need this. We're fighting for it. We're staying. We're committing. I'm always nervous when you dive onto a Fiora because the outplay potential is real on that champion, but doesn't manage to walk away with anything magical. The support coming in, though, and again, from the right time from the Lulu. Keeps him alive. It's still a 2.5k-ish gold lead here coming out for the side of Sangal, though.
So far, the wild growth from Guys being the hero of the day, it seems. Saving not only the team fight, but obviously saving the day there on poor old Tulkas. Nacris, sorry, it was.
Oh, the timing,
but now
by
we're
the way.
setting up Inferno Drake. Okay, let's see. This is going to be a full team fight. Let's set this one up, Derry.
Yeah, I mean, Corky package online again as well at the perfect time, so picked up at the opportune moment. And that's why, again, you'll see a bit more conservation coming out of the side of SuperMassive. They don't want to get themselves invested, but here we go, Sangal.
Oh, separated and completely caught out there. Couldn't get the wild growth down quick enough, unfortunately. And you can see the Lonely Kid already picked off. Noika's also going to be focused, though. Nasa's going to start turning very well.
Oh,
look at this. Can they get the damage down? The stuns come through, but Bambi is still popping off. He's still alive and manages to get in there. And that gives Tulkas the double kill. Oh, my word, indeed. A 3 for 2 in the end, but it does look like the Drake is almost certainly going to go to SuperMassive. No, they don't want to risk it.
These team fights, again, the focus from Sangal is questionable, and maybe they find more Tulkas going forward, but I think that Winter's Bite going to be enough to keep the two alive and walking away here. Oh, the flash forward. That was a little bit cheeky. Didn't get anything from it. But again, the focus. They burnt through the Gragas first, and then you've got the Zinstan in there, ult on, Lulu ult on. The back line, they're just plugging away. The Kaiser sat there firing away pretty much free fire. The Fiora dancing around a little bit as well. And by then, Sangal had invested everything. They burnt through the front line, had no cooldowns left, nothing left to do any fighting with. And that's when you see it come back the other way. Watch. Lonely Kid goes down, and then the Zin comes in on the front line, gets ulted up, ult on himself as well, and he just stands in the front line. Look at this. Look at the damage onto the back 3, D-Man. No one goes down. Even the Zin is barely burning because of the ultimate. And by then, it's like, oh no, we've run out of cooldowns. We've got no more damage. And sure enough, SuperMassive Blaze turn it back around. You should not be losing a fight like that if you're that far ahead, Sangal, but that is just a real typical, I see hero, I try and kill hero, oh god, it's the wrong hero. Now we're going to find ourselves getting burnt out.
And Tulkas was completely safe throughout that. The carry just sitting at the back, completely plugging away, keeping that damage down. Looks like it was a 5v5 engage, certainly looking at one another. They want to get that tower down, but I don't feel this is going to be a great engage for Sangal. Not when SuperMassive are all sat there with a tower. Stand behind me comes down. They're trying to work it out here. The Shin Style is going to be the engage that they're looking for. They want to pounce in there, get that wild growth, knock everyone up, but this time it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Sangal really trying to force it, though.
I mean, this is the thing, right? They've just forced out the Zin ult, the very thing that, you know, ruined them in the last fight because they couldn't get the damage down onto Bambi. Now that's been burnt out early, very preemptively by Bambi. A big mistake. They want to do this again. Right call to try and kill it. Here we go.
Wild Growth will save the day, but it's going to be Sangal to try and engage. But again, it's under the tower. They have to be so cautious of this. They've lost themselves their AD carry. They have to back out.
It baffles me that, again, he's got... Well, Flash is about to come back up, I think. He had Barrier on side. You had the support of your team around you. And still, Cool FX is the first one going down. It just keeps on happening, D-Man. And I'm not sure if it's a... I guess I'm kind of sure. It is... Oh, again, the top say bye-bye Bambi. I mean, Tulkas is low. They won't want to dive for that too much. But again, even in the spots where it's really good focus coming out of SuperMassive Blaze, you can't pin it all on Cool FX. You think after 2 maps of being dived onto constantly, you'd learn to back away and play things at least a little more carefully.
Well, it does seem that the long, drawn-out fight will get the tower. Okay, let's have a look.
It's just one of those ones again where all the ults kind of pile off. Yeah, this is the thing, right? And he's just constantly finding himself caught out. I will give Lonely Kid's ultimate a lot better than what we saw out of Nysa in the previous game. In this one, I think a little bit of an overinvestment by Bambi, not respecting the fact that you will get instantly stunned and blown up by the Pantheon, along with the damage coming out of the Twisted Fate. It's a little bit overzealous there in his attempt.
Nacris wants to try and get this Scuttle Crab down. Obviously, the vision for the Baron is pretty key right now, but it's going to be Sangal that will take that one. And while this back and forth has kind of been swinging into SuperMassive's way in terms of team fights, you can see obviously Sangal still holding on to that gold lead that they've been sitting on. That's because they have the 3 outer turrets right now, whereas SuperMassive still don't have any down yet. So there's gold effectively in the bank when they can get them. The question is, can they get them?
That's always the big question, right? You're looking towards the objectives again. It's a big one. I mean, yes, the Baron being on side, you wonder, can that be the next big focus for either of these sides? I'd be a little bit nervous if I was Sangal because they've had a 3k goldie, let's not forget. That has shrunk down to about 2k, which might make you say, well, they're still ahead, so there's no problem, right? They can still try and focus on gathering around the Baron. It's the nature of these fights and how they keep on swinging towards SuperMassive Blaze. There have been some good moments, some good highlights coming out of Sangal, but SuperMassive are the ones, for my money at least, that are looking more dominant in these fights. If they 2-0 this, I will be shocked.
Yeah, this would definitely be a big upset. There's no doubt about it. Sangal will be shocked as well. And SuperMassive, well, they will be almost doubling their points instantly, which would be fantastic for them. They're certainly not within a shout, I don't think, of upsetting the likes of Na'Vi and Unicorns of Love that also reside in this group and very much at the top of the table. But here we go, Ocean Drake coming down. Let's have a look. Are they going to try and go for it here? Sangal trying to set themselves up already.
Just look at who they focus. They get Lonely Kid was the one getting tagged up a little bit there, and in we go, Zin's in.
Is he going to get the wild growth? Yes, he is. That's going to bounce them up. And Cold Effect is in the middle of the enemy team. That's not where an AD carry needs to be, but he's managed to avoid the mitigation. Does finally go down, and now let's see how this turns around for them. Lonely Kid off the side there, trying to pick them off. They have lost Nacres now, but of course, keep your eye on Tulkas. Keeping that free damage down at the moment. Nisa's the only one with hit points. The revive's going to come around the back there, but look at Tulkas. Keeps plugging away, and that is a massive problem for Sangal. They just can't get that AD carry picked off.
Big question mark, Call FX, frontline, hello? Not really the kind of way you play this game, to be fair with you, buddy. But now it's another one being caught out, snapped up by the slow. That's going to be an easy kill coming through too. And this should be another 2 kills going their way. No big issue. Wild Growth coming out for the double knockup. They get the clean. SuperMassive plays. I said as well 2 minutes ago, I'm nervous about fights to Sangal, and they show exactly why. They get aced, and SuperMassive Blaze are blazing into the future.
Yeah, I mean, well, we'll look at a replay of it in a minute, but I just want to look at like how he was out of position again, because that's 2 team fights running the AD carry, and I think he used the package, didn't he? I think he cut across the team with the package, and it just put him massively out of position.
I don't think he had the package, did he? I think he just W'd in normal. No, he does a package. You are
Where is
right,
he?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Look at him here on the left-hand side, right? He dashes towards the back line, but you're in the middle.
There's the package,
of where
yeah, look.
they want you. You're on the Lulu. You're on the Gragas. You're sat in the middle of people that are going to polymorph you, stun you, get you knocked up, and sure enough, he's just playing damage control at that point. Both summons being burnt out. The Kai'Sa with a really smart ult towards the back where no one was able to protect the flank. It forces the Corki to flash back into the middle, and it's an easy burn down from there. It does devolve into a bit of chaos, but Bambi here is in the background on half HP, whilst everyone around him is on like 10%. It's the easiest burn through in the world, and the wild growth that you see come out in a minute. Really smart. I'm not too sure what it is the side of Sangal are looking for here. Maybe a smite steal, for example, but it just goes catastrophically wrong, and surely Baron should be on the card for the side of SuperMassive Blaze. However, they are benefiting the most when Sangal are coming in with those really poor engages, so why not let them do it yet again?
Okay, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because he used the package, and I think what happened is he landed on the border between the blue buff and the river, and what it does is sometimes will plop you over the other side. And I think that's what happened. It obviously put him way too far. He's probably like, oh my god, I'm in the blue buff, I'm miles away, I'm completely out of position, and sort of panic flash and get out of there. And I think that just completely threw his game off that one moment. That's what I'm giving him. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt for that. Not convinced.
just maybe because I was so focused on what was going on as well, because both ults have been burnt on the top side now. SuperMassive, they haven't got the big tank ults they want. The amazing casks that have come out of Lonely Kid so far, not available for another 15 seconds or so. When that's back online though, I feel that you're already at a point where on the attacking side, you're like, well, great, now we're a bit screwed. However, it's more the ultimate on Bambi that's down. Don't forget, he has been the big tank in these team fights so far. Gets that ult in, disperses the whole team. They get tossed around like a pinball by the Gragas. It all works wonderfully in their favor. When those two are online, that is their strong point. And here we go.
Oh, Bambi forced to get away, and that's the wild growth used as well. Did they see that? That's the question. Has got himself that Guardian Angel in there as well to keep him safe, but that's a real problem. Meanwhile, in the base, Fiora is continuing on the tower. Finally, will back away there, and I see having to do some work, and Nacres will back away, and that's going to turn the team on. They realize it is a full-on 4v4. You can see that Braum having to back away. He's safe at the moment. Tulkas goes gold. That means he's not putting the damage down, and for the first time, Tulkas got the focus in there. Bambi can go back in again, though, but that wild growth is still not available. Used up. Now it's free. So, will they go for the re-engage?
I mean, at this point, they've already killed one. It looks far worse than it actually is. In goes the the Garo, massive ultimate coming on top. They get the burn through on the other side, though. So it's pulled things down into a 4 versus 3, 1 for 1. It looked like the side of Sangal should be so much further ahead than they are, D-Man, but they're not. It's still only 1 extra kill, and 2 of their members are limping away, bleeding.
So, let's take stock of how that worked out. Sure, it looked like Sangal picked up some really good information. Well, Bambi doesn't want to lose that Guardian Angel. And yes, they pushed and got a lot of damage down. But the fact is, SuperMassive took down the bottom turret and almost the inner turret as well. That base turret, the inhibitor turret, nearly gone. So while that was all happening, the actual target, you know, you win the game by taking turrets down, guys. That's what the focus is, instead of just fighting, which I know a lot of people love to do. Sangal didn't really get anything for it.
I just get nervous. The more further into this game we get, the stronger the Fiora is going to be against the Garen. He's had to go full armor at this point as well, understandably. There isn't really a massive AP threat, but the catch onto Bambi. He's got GA as well. He won't be too worried about that. What the focus is going to be here is 100% this trait. This could be the kind of thing that looks to end the game as well if they're not careful, because what have we said time and time again? Cool effects getting caught out, bad focus from Sangal. Keep an eye on where they engage and where cool effects moves.
Elder Cloud up. Still, Nakrez in that top lane. So they're going to start things off, leash it off. Oh, Lonely Kid's got to be careful here. You can see Bambi wants to get involved, but the rest of his team are not quite on the same page, but they're so scared of Bambi, they're completely backing away. And that's left Nicey, and Nicey completely separated from his team. Gets caught out. A wild growth catching all 4 members of Sangal out, and it is decimation from there. The SuperMassive Blaze have absolutely lived up to their name, delivering. Lemoyne has to run for his life. This could be game right now.
Forget about calling them a blaze here, D-Man. Call them a black hole, because they are devouring everything before them. There's nothing that Sangal can do, and Bambi just walked at them. It's all he did. They marched through the team, and they clean up off the back of it. What a series from SuperMassive Blaze.
Absolutely devastating Sangal. SuperMassive Blaze, their best performance so far in the Wild Rift Origin Series. They have yet to pass this stage in the Wild Rift Origin Series. And a brilliant performance against Sangal, a clean 2-0 sweep.
Really, really impressive. Again, given Sangal with a team that got knocked down to the lower bracket in both of the previous qualifiers or previous tournaments, coming up against UOL, they're knocked out by BK Rog. 2 pretty serious names in there. Yet here's SuperMassive Blaze coming in and crushing them outright. Incredible 2 games, one with the global engage comp, the Pantheon, one playing against it, and they play it perfectly both times. I'm so excited to see what they can do in the next iteration of the Origin series, because that's super impressive.
What a series to start things off, ladies and gentlemen. That was Group B. We're going to be going over to Group C next after the break. We'll see you then.